My name is Chloe Sterling, and I am 21 years old living in the bright and busy city of Austin, Texas. If you have ever been to Austin in the middle of July, you know that the heat is something that stays with you like a heavy blanket you can never quite kick off your bed. I spend most of my days working at a local tech startup where the air conditioning is always set to freezing, and the coffee is always free, which is pretty much the only way I survive the summer. I have always considered myself a pretty easygoing person who tries to find the best in everyone I meet. I am the kind of girl who remembers your birthday and brings you a cupcake just because I saw one that looked like something you would like. I moved to Austin for college and stayed for the music and the food and the feeling that anything could happen if you were in the right place at the right time. For a long time, I thought I had found the right person to share that life with, even though he lived hundreds of miles away. His name was Peter, and we met through an online gaming community about a year and a half ago. At first, everything was perfect in that way, that only long-distance relationships can be, where you spend every waking hour talking, but never have to deal with who leaves the dirty dishes in the sink. We would spend hours on voice calls while we played games or just watched movies together, while we both sat in our own beds in different cities. He was sweet and attentive, and he told me things that made me feel like I was the only girl in the world who truly understood him. We did meet up in person a few times, and those trips were like a dream come true, because he was even more charming when he was standing right in front of me. But as the months went by, the dream started to have some very dark edges. Peter started to get very protective of who I talked to in our friend group. He would tell me that his friends were not the kind of people I should be around because they were misogynistic and rude, and they did not respect women. He told me that they were self-centered and that they would only try to make me feel bad about myself. Because I loved him and trusted him, I stayed away from them for a long time. I did not want to cause drama, and I figured he knew them better than I did. But then my birthday rolled around, and one of his friends, who I will call Mark, sent me a simple message wishing me a happy birthday. It was such a small thing, but it felt like a crack in the wall Peter had built around me. I replied to Mark and thanked him, and that one little message turned into a conversation. Mark seemed confused that I was being so nice to him. After a few days of chatting, Mark finally told me something that made my heart drop into my stomach. He told me that I was not at all like the person Peter had described. I asked him what he meant, and he hesitated before saying that Peter had been telling all of them for months that I was a manipulative bitch. He told them that I was incredibly jealous and that I would scream at him if he even looked at another girl. He told them that I was the reason he could not hang out with them as much, and that I was basically holding his social life hostage. I sat there in my apartment in Austin staring at my phone screen while the sun set outside, and I felt like I was losing my mind. I was the one who had been told to stay away from them. I was the one who was being isolated. It turned out that Peter was playing both sides of the fence. To me, he was the victim of bad friends, and to them, he was the victim of a crazy girlfriend. I decided not to tell Peter right away that I knew the truth because I wanted to see how deep the rabbit hole went. I started talking to more of his friends in secret, and the stories just kept getting worse. They all actually hated him, but they stayed around because they had been friends for a long time, and they felt bad for him because of the lies he told about his life. One night, one of the friends sent me a screenshot of a group chat where Peter was literally bragging about how easy it was to manipulate me. He made a joke about how he had me wrapped around his finger and how he could make me believe anything he wanted. That was the moment something inside of me snapped. I am a nice person, but I am not a doormat. I coordinated a three-way call with Peter and two of his friends to confront him. I thought that seeing him get caught would be the end of it. He cried and he apologized, and he gave me a million excuses about how he was insecure and how he just wanted to feel important. Like a fool, I actually forgave him at first because I thought maybe he could change. But over the next few months, the feeling in my chest just changed. Every time his name popped up on my phone, I felt a sense of dread instead of excitement. I felt drained and tired every time we spoke. We entered this horrible on and off phase where we would break up for a week and then get back together because I felt guilty. Finally, about 2 days ago, we decided to break up for good. At first, it seemed like it was going to be a peaceful split where we could stay friends, but then Peter started acting weird again. He started posting cryptic messages online about how people betray you when you least expect it. That was when I decided to reach out to his friends again to see what he was saying now that we were officially done. What I found out was so much worse than anything I could have imagined. It was like opening a box full of poisonous snakes. The friends were tired of his lies too, and they decided to give me all the information they had been holding back while we were together. It turns out that while we were dating, Peter was constantly texting other girls and asking them for nude photos. He was even talking to a girl who lived in his own city and trying to get her to go out with him while telling me he was too busy with work to call me. But the betrayal went even deeper than cheating. One of his male friends told me that Peter had actually asked him if he would have sex with him just to try it out, which is fine if you are single, but he was doing this while we were together. Then the worst part came out. I have a brother named Leo who is gay and who I am very close with. Peter had always been so nice to Leo, but the friends told me that Peter had said if I did not exist, he would be dating my brother instead. He was using my own family as a backup plan in his head while mocking me behind my back. He also told his friends that only 1 week after our breakup, he already had a new girlfriend. I found out who this girl was, and I reached out to her just to see if she knew what kind of guy he was. She went absolutely ballistic on me and told me that I was a horrible person for breaking up with him and that she knew for a fact he was a saint. It turns out she has a boyfriend of her own, and Peter was just her side guy that she was using to feel better about herself. They were perfect for each other in the worst way possible. As I sat there in my living room with all these screenshots and stories swirling around me, I realized that Peter did not just lie to me, he tried to dismantle my entire reality. He tried to make me look like a monster so that nobody would believe me if I ever told the truth. He still has me unblocked on some things, and he has been sending me messages saying that he misses me and that he wants to get back together because he realized I am the only one who truly cares about him. He has no idea that I know everything. He has no idea that I have seen the messages where he uses the N-word like it is just another casual slang term. He has no idea that I have seen the photos he sent to other women. He thinks I am still the sweet little Chloe from Austin who will forgive him for anything if he just cries enough. Well, he is about to find out that the heat in Texas is nothing compared to the fire I am about to start. I have been sitting here for the last 48 hours organizing everything. I have a folder on my computer that is labeled with his name, and it is full of the most damning evidence a person could ever have. I am not just going to block him and move on because that would be too easy for him. He would just find another girl to trick and another group of friends to lie to. He needs to understand that there are consequences for being a predator and a liar. My plan started small. I began by making sure that all of his remaining friends saw the full extent of his lies. I created a group chat with every single person he has ever introduced me to, and I dropped the folder of screenshots right in the middle of it. I did not say a word. I just let the images speak for themselves. I watched as the little typing bubbles appeared and disappeared as people realized that the guy they had been defending was actually a racist and a cheater who talked trash about them too. One of them actually called me crying because Peter had told him that his mother was a loser while Peter was staying at their house for free. The walls started closing in on him within the first hour. But that was only Act 1 of my revenge. Act 2 was more personal. I knew that Peter was currently applying for a very high-level job at a tech company that prides itself on diversity and inclusion. I happen to know someone who works in the human resources department of that company because the tech world in Texas and beyond is smaller than you think. I did not want to be the one to personally send the email, so I used an anonymous account to send the screenshots of him using racial slurs to the hiring manager. I included a note saying that this was the kind of person they were about to bring into their office culture. I received a notification later that day that his application had been moved to the rejected pile. He will never know why he did not get the job, but he will always wonder why nobody is calling him back. Then came Act 3, which was the confrontation with his family. Peter has a very traditional family who thinks he is a golden child. I sent a very polite and sad message to his mother saying that I was so sorry things did not work out and that I was worried about him because of his heavy drug use and his addiction to weed and vaping, which he had hidden from them. I told her that I hoped he could get the help he needed for his issues with lying and manipulation. I knew that his mother would lose her mind because she is the kind of person who values reputation above everything else. I heard through the grapevine that his house is currently a war zone and his parents have taken away his car and are threatening to cut off his college tuition if he does not go to counseling. I am still sitting here in Austin, and the sun is finally going down. I feel a strange sense of peace that I have not felt in a long time. Peter has been trying to call me all day from different numbers, but I have them all blocked before they can even ring. He sent me one final email before I blocked his address where he called me every name in the book. He told me that I destroyed his life and that I am the devil. It is funny how he finally stopped being the sweet boy when he lost his power over me. He is right about one thing, though. I did destroy the life he built, but that life was built on a foundation of lies and broken people. All I did was kick the first stone, and the whole thing came tumbling down on his head. I am looking out at the city lights now, and I realize that I am a different person than I was a year ago. I am not just the girl who brings cupcakes and remembers birthdays. I am a girl who knows how to protect herself and the people she loves. My brother Leo was so upset when I told him what Peter had said about him, but he also felt relieved that the truth was finally out. We are going out to dinner tonight to celebrate my new freedom. Peter is currently sitting in a bedroom in a city far away with no friends, no job prospects, and a family that finally sees him for who he really is. He wanted to make me feel like I was the crazy one, but in the end, he was the one who lost his mind, trying to keep all his lies straight. This is the last time I will ever think about him, and it feels like the air in Austin is finally starting to cool down. The revenge was not just about making him hurt, it was about making sure he could never hurt me or anyone else I care about ever again. I learned that being a good person does not mean you have to be a victim. It means you have to be strong enough to stand up when someone tries to dim your light. I am Chloe Sterling, and I am 21 years old, and for the first time in a long time, I am exactly where I am supposed to be. I am free of the weight of his expectations and the poison of his words. The tech startup I work for just offered me a promotion, and I think I might take some of that extra money to go on a trip somewhere where the weather is cold and the people are honest. I will never forget what happened, but I will also never let it happen again. I have my folders and my screenshots saved just in case he ever tries to crawl back out of the hole he dug for himself, but I do not think he will. He is too busy trying to figure out how to explain himself to a world that no longer wants to listen. The silence on my phone is the best gift I have ever received. It is the sound of a problem solved and a life reclaimed. I used to think that revenge was something that would make me feel dirty or mean, but it actually feels like taking a long, deep breath after being underwater for a year. It feels like the first rain after a long Texas drought where the dust finally settles and the grass starts to turn green again. I am moving forward, and I am leaving the ghost of Peter behind in the ruins of the mess he made. I hope he enjoys the counseling his parents are forcing him into, because he has a lot of work to do if he ever wants to be half the person he pretended to be. As for me, I am going to keep being the girl who remembers birthdays and brings cupcakes, because that is who I am, but now I know that I also have the heart of a lioness when I need it. The story of Chloe and Peter is over, and the story of Chloe and the rest of her life is just beginning, and it looks like it is going to be a very bright future indeed. I walked into the kitchen to grab a glass of water and saw my reflection in the window. I looked different. Not in a way that anyone else would notice, but in a way that I could see in my eyes. The girl who was afraid to speak up is gone, and the woman who stands her ground is here to stay. I took a sip of the cold water and felt the last bit of tension leave my shoulders. The messages had stopped. The drama had faded. The city of Austin was quiet for a moment, as if it was giving me a second to just exist without any pressure. I thought about the other girls Peter had texted, and I hoped they found their own versions of the truth too. I hoped they realized that they deserved more than a guy who treats people like characters in a game. Maybe one day Peter will change, but that is no longer my concern. My concern is making sure that I never settle for anything less than honesty and respect. I picked up my keys and headed out the door to meet Leo for dinner. The night air was still warm, but there was a breeze that felt like a promise of something better. I realized that the best part of revenge is not the destruction of the other person, but the rebuilding of yourself. I am stronger than I was, and I am wiser than I was. I am Chloe Sterling, and I am finally the hero of my own story. The road ahead is long and wide, and I can go wherever I want without anyone telling me who I can or cannot talk to. I reached the restaurant and saw Leo waiting outside with a big smile on his face. He gave me a hug and told me he was proud of me. That was all I needed to hear. We walked inside together, and the sound of laughter and music filled the air. My life is mine again, and I am never letting it go. It is funny how a year and a half of lies can be erased by a few days of truth. It is like the sun finally coming out after a long and dark storm. I am ready for whatever comes next because I know that I can handle it. I have my friends, my family, and most importantly, I have my self-respect. And that is something Peter can never take away from me again. I thought about all the hours I spent crying over him, and I laughed a little bit because those tears were for a person who did not even exist. The Peter I loved was a ghost, and the real Peter was just a sad boy with a lot of secrets. Now those secrets are out in the open, and I am in the light. It is a good feeling to be in the light. I looked at the menu and decided to order the biggest steak they had because I had an appetite for life again. The waitress was kind, and the atmosphere was perfect. I was not looking at my phone every 5 seconds to see if Peter had messaged me. I was not worried about what he was doing or who he was with. I was just there in the moment with my brother enjoying the evening. That is the ultimate revenge. To be happy and to be whole after someone tried to break you. I am happy and I am whole and I am Chloe Sterling. The Texas heat is still there, but I do not mind it as much anymore. It is just part of the world I live in, and I love this world. I love the messy, complicated, and beautiful truth of it all. I am glad I stood up for myself, and I am glad I reached out to those friends. We are actually planning a trip together soon to a cabin in the mountains where we can all hang out without any lies hanging over our heads. It is strange how a bad situation can lead to such good friendships. Mark and the others are great people, and we are all much better off without Peter in our lives. We have a group chat now that is actually full of support and kindness instead of manipulation and trash talk. It is a breath of fresh air. I finished my dinner and felt a sense of completion. The chapter is closed. The book is put away. I am starting a new one tomorrow, and the first page is going to be amazing. I walked out of the restaurant and looked up at the stars, and I knew that everything was going to be okay. I have a long way to go and a lot of things to see, but I am doing it on my terms. No more lies, no more hiding. Just me and the big, beautiful world of Austin, Texas, and beyond. I am Chloe Sterling, and I am 21 years old, and I am free. I thought about the N-word screenshots one last time and felt a chill. That kind of hatred has no place in my life, and I am glad I was the one to make sure it had consequences. In a world that can be so dark, it is important to be a light. And sometimes being a light means you have to burn down the things that are trying to suffocate you. I did that, and I am not sorry. I am at peace. I am happy. I am Chloe. And that is more than enough for me. The city lights of Austin are sparkling like diamonds tonight, and I feel like I am finally one of them. I am shining bright, and I am not letting anyone dim my glow ever again. The revenge is over, but the growth is just beginning. I am looking forward to every single second of it. I got into my car and turned on the radio, and a song came on that I actually liked instead of the ones Peter used to make me listen to. I sang along at the top of my lungs as I drove through the streets of my city. This is what it feels like to be alive. This is what it feels like to win, and I am winning every single day that I wake up and decide to be myself. The heat of the Texas night felt good against my skin as I rolled down the windows. I am Chloe Sterling, and I am the master of my own fate. Peter is just a memory now, and memories cannot hurt you if you do not let them. I am letting go of the memory and holding on to the lesson. And the lesson is to always trust your gut and never let anyone tell you that you are the problem when you are just seeking the truth. I am home now, and the apartment is quiet and peaceful. I am going to sleep well tonight for the first time in a long time. Tomorrow is a new day, and I cannot wait to see what it brings. Good night, Peter, wherever you are. I hope the truth is as loud in your ears as it is quiet in mine. I am Chloe, and I am finally finished with you. The end of our story is the best part because it is the part where I get to be happy without you. And that is the best revenge of all. I put my phone on the charger and noticed one final notification. It was a message from Mark saying that the whole friend group was meeting up for coffee tomorrow, and they wanted me to come. I smiled and typed back that I would be there. I am building a new community of people who actually care about each other, and that is a beautiful thing. I am not alone, and I am not crazy. I am surrounded by truth and friendship, and that is worth more than any long-distance lie. I closed my eyes and felt the soft Austin breeze coming through the window. I am Chloe Sterling, and I am exactly who I was always meant to be. This is my story, and it has a happy ending because I was brave enough to write it myself. No more ghosts and no more shadows. Just the clear blue sky of a new Texas morning waiting for me to wake up and enjoy it. I am ready. I am strong, I am me, and that is the truth.